Abu Dhabi, nothing seemed to grow at all. And therefore it was a shock because it was just sand. Absolutely nothing like Abu Dhabi nowadays, because that was the first thing that Sheikh Zayed did, was to turn Abu Dhabi green. Well, most of the town was palm frond huts, barasti huts. There were some buildings made of coral blocks, which they stuck together with what cement they could afford to make houses. The Sheikh's palace was one of them, of course. I didn't, to begin with, have much contact with Sheikh Shahbout. And Sheikh Shahbout, although he was illiterate, he was interested in absolutely everything that was going on. And so out we all went to Sonic. And that was when I first met Sheikh Shahbout. This was just the three of us, my husband, myself, and our daughter, who was then just about one. And Sheikh Shahbout said, "Why haven't you been to call on the family?" Well, my husband thought that I would just call on the family when there was an Eid, and there hadn't been an Eid. So anyway, off I went and visited them. And from then on, a real friendship grew up between myself and the ladies in the palace. And it was Christmas 1957, and we had invited the head of the Trucial Man Scouts, the head of another oil company, and I think we had 11 people staying in the house, including Mrs. Thayer. She was taken to visit Sheikh Shahbout, and she looked at this barren land, all round, just sand all round between us and the fort, and she said to she had no tact. She said to Sheikh Shahbout, "What do you do with yourself all day?" And I don't know how my husband's translator managed to translate that tactfully, but he did. Sheikh Shahbout realized that the question had probably been watered down a bit, so he just looked at her and gave a twinkle and said, I look after my own affairs. And then she insisted on riding a camel, and so she went on a camel ride around the palace. She was an interesting person to be with, and wanting to do everything, and and she never stopped taking photos. In that movie, Deborah was just having her 4th birthday, and I had gotten 144 bars of chocolate, because I'd been given this special trip over to Bahrain to go and do some shopping for this party for 144 children, and 144 balloons. When the time came for them all to go, I don't know how we played games, but we did on the sand. Tag, I think, mostly. I stood by a window, and the children all lined up in a queue, and with the help of Roddy Fennick-Owen, he and I handed out either a balloon or a bar of chocolate to each child, and we had just enough. So there were 288 children at that last party. Well, we left shortly, not long after that last party. I left in April 1958, and my husband in June, and then we went to Canada on our way to Alaska. Because Deborah was 4.5 then, and I was getting very concerned that she would find it very difficult to fit in with English children. I was very sad to say goodbye to all the people I got to know so well, Sheikh Shahbout's wife and daughters, Sheikh Salama, and I could talk to the men and the women, and my husband could only talk to the men, you know. get a purely male point of view. So I realized that I had been in a very special position